Howdy folks, Jabba Pope Jovovich here. Season 2 of Let's watch Jabba Pop play. There's some changes in the air. You can smell them. They're not all foul. Some of the changes are good. Some of the changes are kind of odd. They make you raise your nose a bit and sniff a little bit further because it's a very recognizable sense, but also something strange, something unknown, something familiar yet distant. And I think that's an important thing about life. You should always be led by your nose. You should never let yourself accept everything point blank. There's always something to detect. You should always doubt, always wonder, always ask yourself, what are my sensory inputs telling me that isn't what I thought? Because the inside world isn't the end all. The outside world is also important, and that's why we must value our senses. But to get to the point, today's game will be called The Binding of Isaac. This is an oldie goldie, at least in my mind. I like this game. There's a lot of faults. You'll hear me complain about a lot of faults in this one, but it's also a good game. It's a game that consumed a good deal of my time. 66 hours, wow. That's 1/6 shy the number of man, or the number of the beast. The 666, that's the number that I'm referencing, which would be fit for this game because it's a kind of devilish game. It's a little bit blasphemous, but it's also at its core a game about games, and you've got to enjoy yourself. So that's the most important thing. Anyway, let's watch Pop play The Binding of Isaac. Alright, this is The Binding of Isaac. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out how to work this without with the full screen. It seemed to blob around the screen. So for now, we're just going to have to accept staring at my desktop in the background. Or if you had
Isaac
your special type of brain, you could hide it.
In a small
Fixed window, focus, shutters for perception. This is the story. I'll summarize it for you. His mom locks him in the basement because she thinks she's hearing voices from God. Now, this is a kind of a rip on television preachers and what have you. And it's like, oh, religion is so sordid and messed up. Even in the Bible, there's stories about people killing their kids. Boo-hoo. But I mean, how far do you go with that? How far did they go with that? Every single item in this game is essentially like an anti-religious icon, like what is this? But, you just have to release yourself from the bonds of feeling these icons are important, and just go to town, like I say. Paint the town, Jesus, or whatever, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna play some Isaacs. So you get to pick your characters. There's not much settings here, and there's let me show you this little lazy, stupid, where is it? Controls. Gamepad, just join it, Google it. They don't integrate, they did some really lazy programming in here, but you gotta give them credit where credit's due. They did a DLC and they got more money from you. And they still didn't address the major issues, but that's no big deal. They're doing their job. The updates released all different kind of characters. We'll just do the Glad and Plaid Isaac, because he's the base character, and after all, it is his game, and not all these other creatures. So it's a very simple game. It's like a shooter. You go forward and shoot. But then the mystery and the fun comes in the variety and variations. Variations on the theme by Joseph Haydn. Who's doing this one? Brahms is doing variations on Joseph Haydn's theme. But so here's the theme. Now you got an item. So the item provides you with power-ups, which can change the structure of your gameplay immensely. I don't know what the relic is. I think the relic drops. Here's the problem with this game. You have to have the wiki up at all times to know what any of these things do, which I am recalcitrant against. There's a word for you. I recommend no one accept a game that requires you to have a wiki up to understand what's going on. Granted, you could play like normal without the wiki, but it's very annoying because you get this thing like cursed skull and you're wondering, should I keep it? Should I drop it, exchange it for the next item? And you don't know. Like the old image macro of what's his name? Saddam Hussein during his law trial. He says you don't know, and that's what it is. You don't know. You don't know unless you play this game a trillion billion times and the engram is etched onto your brain matter, or you have the wiki up. But anyway, this is not a let's play of information theory. This is let's play of the game. And as you can see, it's from room to room, shoot and kill, get to the boss, lather, rinse, repeat until you get to the bottom and kill your mom. That's everyone's issue these days. How to kill your mom, right? Well, this game will teach you how. just find solace in anti-Christian relics, and shed false crocodile tears at your enemies, until everyone is accepting of your innocence and tenderness, and stab them in the back. That's what you do. That's how you kill your mom. There you go. Let's play. Let's play. Let's watch Joe play How to Kill Your Mom in a Let's Play. No, kids. That's sordid and sick. You have to try and put any kind of subtext or any kind of ideology that this game offers in the back burner, and just focus on the task at hand. Shooting enemies with your tears. It's kitschy. You have to accept it as that. Don't go any further. You know, your soul is more important than deconstructing the meaning of parody and what have you. So but yeah, this is a great thing. There's so many different enemy types, and they all do different goofy things. And that's that guy's goofy thing. And now he's dead. And they call this game a roguelike. You're gonna die a lot too, and you'll never beat the game. I mean, you'll beat it. It's not that difficult. But it does take a long time. It takes like 30 minutes, which is kind of stupid because no saves. So you have to sit down 30 minutes, cross your fingers, and hope you're gonna beat it. If not, you've just wasted all your time. And I don't like that. I would have liked it like a regular, like in the old Rogue games had like quick saves. You could save and quit. This game you can't save and quit. You just have to quit. No save, period. So this is even more in terms of gameplay restrictions. It's more restrictive than even the genre it's trying to emulate or pay homage to. And granted, it's not as difficult in terms of gameplay, but it's difficult in terms of save mechanics. But enough of that jibber jabber. We don't need to talk about that. Just because we don't need to talk about that save mechanic stuff, because everyone knows Christ savings. That's the old trickaroo in the Grand Theft Auto games, where the save game feature is to go to the religious mart, and he saves you. Saves your game for later. Because it's a pun on the word save. What does the word save mean? Let's find out. Save from who? Save for what? In what fashion? In what manner? Etc. etc. Kids, don't try this at home. And so a lot of the enemies here are kind of like satanic style things, like flies. Flies are filthy vermin insects. I mean, I'm not going to try and apply a religious approach to biology, but I mean, flies are pretty nasty, I'll give them that, and they do swarm and they're annoying, but they are nowhere near as bad as the stinging creatures. I hate wasps. I'm allergic to wasps. I hate the bees. No, not the bees, as Nick Cage would say. Actually, I don't hate bees. I've only been stung by a bee once. I'm not as allergic to bees as I am wasps, which is thankful. It's a good thing to be thankful that all creatures don't kill you, only a select few. In real life. In the game, everything kills you, if you let it. This guy's a real tough one, because he's got his little Honin missiles. I hope I'll be able to beat him. Look at that, too. At the last minute, he teases you. There's a lot of teasing going on in this game. That's what the relic does. I was lucky. That little relic transports you out of the room if you're gonna die, and so that way you can go to another room to die. It's like I want to die by myself, like cats. They say that when cats run away, when cats die, they like to imagine that it's a creature from the outside and not their insides. So they try to hide from the creature. They run and hide under a building because they think that they're being assaulted by some kind of predator, but it's not. It's their own body that's assaulting them. And I think that's an interesting parable, interesting idea, that a life form can't differentiate between the inside and the outside. I mean, we are approaching that stage of society, though. And if you think about it ideologically, our outsides nowadays are our insides. Everything we conceive of that we see with our two eyes outside of our bodies exists in a kind of mental framework vis-a-vis like watching YouTube videos, and you know, I'm not going to try to turn this into a dialectic of information theory, but it seems like everything we know is a form. You know, the further we get in our knowledge, the more and more constricted it is by forms, by WMV file formats, by MP4, by FLAC even. Even though FLAC has very efficient compression qualities, it still is a restricted format. And so, I mean, the question is, do we embrace this restriction of our knowledge, or do we fight against it? And I have to tell you, I don't see many people fighting against it. There's not enough fighting going on in the streets these days. There aren't any more streets these days. The only people on the streets these days are people that can't afford passage to the information superhighway. Explain that to me. Explain that to me, Mr. Obama. How there are people live in this great old nation without even high-speed internet. Can't go to their YouTubes or the Wikipedias. They have to get ganked by their cell phone companies for exorbitant, for Shylock fees. These people, these Shylock fees. Not to use a euphemism against any kind of set of people, but these phone companies give you crazy overage fees, and it's like you're being shymied. I mean, not to mince words. But it is something very evil about the way that money is taken as valid, despite the fact that there are such evil mechanisms behind it and in front of it, and anyone can see it's plain as day. We still accept it, and we don't jeer at the people who created this prison, and we jeer at the people who suffer in it. The people who suffer at this prison of economic codependency. It's evil. How you make your money? Sell drugs. How you make your money? Take off my clothes. How you make my money? I scam the welfare system. Well, kids, what else are you gonna do? Explain that to me. Because I'm looking for an answer. Alright, so here's the worms. These worms, these aren't very tough villains. They trick you, though, because they're variations on a theme by Joseph. Variations on a theme by Joseph Haydn, as told, rendited by Joseph Johannes Brahms. These creatures, they come up and show back in various forms. Some shoot lasers at you, some shoot little intestinal matters. Okay, as the man says, let's talk about the graphics. This is very slimy. I like that. I like how they, and the sound too, it just mixes together. Everything, I like how they create that kind of synesthesia. Every single sound effect is equated to a visual effect. So it's like when you see the picture, you hear the sound, and vice versa. This is kind of an elegant simplicity, as well as perverse perversity, and I like that too. How did these people create this art style? Some people say it's cartoony, and it's like, duh, that's the point. It's like a Bugs Bunny version of the Bible. That's what you're getting at here. And that's something you don't see a lot. And thank goodness that there's indie games out there. And there's a structure in place that allows ideas to be explored in such fashion as this. Because otherwise, you would just see stupid, kind of like gawkish, kind of network parodies or something. It would be very like overt and very acceptable. And here it's just off the wall. And they don't try to be kitschy. They just go for it. They go for the gusto. And I like that. They don't pander. They play. They play their game. They know their game. And they play it. Speaking of which, okay, those creatures out there, let me give you a little bit of idea about gameplay. If you had a bomb, you could drop the bomb in front of that rock, and the rock creates a pathway, and then you could go pick up something that's there. But there's nothing there. It's just a guy there, and you go shoot the guy. And this little scab lint face who shoots flies at you. And also I like the idea about, in vein of the roguelikes, the progression in this game involves a descent. You go further, deeper and deeper beneath the attic, beneath the substrata, into hell, essentially. And that is to my mind, a great thing, because most of the dialectics in video games, at least in the Nintendo style, is you're advancing. You're getting closer and closer to the princess, to the good thing, to the shining brightness of being. But here it's the opposite. You're going into deeper and darker and murkier and scarier and more horrific depths. And I like being rewarded with negativity. I guess I'm glowering such praises onto this game because it rewards you with negativity. Most games aren't that keen. Most games think negativity is simply negativity, but this game, it knows that negativity is its own form of elation, its own form of desire and suspense. Speaking of money coins, today's episode is brought to you by Pabst Blue Ribbon. Heineken? Fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon, as spoken, truer words were never. Blue Velvet, Dennis Hopper. Alright, so you can see I don't have much money. I don't have much. I'm just going on the pants of my seat here. In terms of game, I am trying. I know I'm not capable of like doing anything grand or ginormous because I haven't got many collectibles. I think I even skipped them in the last level. I've been so distracted by my talking. That's the great thing about LPs. You find new avenues of yourself through like a kind of like a meditation on the game. It's like, and you play the game so hard that you lose the track that you're playing a game, and you speak so hard that you lose the track that you're speaking. So your thoughts and your experiences are clouded and confused. They become one and they become neither. They associate and disassociate. It's like a mental, spiritual hurricane as told by Roger Moore in the James Bond sequence of films. You know, there's laughs, there's cries, there's disaster, there's comedy, there's errors, there's hot babes. There's not many hot babes in this game. I gotta give this game credit. They knew not to try and trick me with hot babes. Because whenever Jabba sees hot babes, he just gets frustrated and he can't handle that kind of stuff. These guys know. No, it's not hot babes. It's demonic gaping mouths that Jabba is comfortable seeing. Nice toothless, mushy, gummy mouths in which to thrust his projectiles. But alas, poor Yorick. These guys keep regenerating. That's their gimmick. That's what I like about this game. It's theme and variation. That's what this game is. Theme and variation. The theme is very simple, but the variety is staggering. And you can play this game a million times, and it'll never be the same game. And you'll still want to keep playing it because it'll be so familiar to you. But each time you play, it'll be that kind of familiar that's slightly out of distance. Familiar yet dissimilar. And I think this instead of the stupid cinematic type of games where they budge your head around with very lame Hollywood-esque Hans Zimmer fueled film uninteractive cutscenes, I think they need to go back to the roots. Just give you pure game, a 5-minute game that has so many permutations and variations that you'll never play at all. And that's what this game is. In a sense, you could play this entire game in 5 minutes. Like, the things you do, the type of interactions you perform, can all be surmised in like 5 minutes. But the actual experience of playing, you could never capture that in time, because it just goes on, and there's just so much variety. Compared, I gotta say though, in terms of, I never liked that. One of the creators from this game is Super Meat Boy. I didn't like that game as much, partially because, I mean, I like that, it's not simply retro games that I'm saying are the greatest or savior, it's the, it's the fact, in terms of time investment and risk-reward, and this game is always rewarding you, even when you lose. You're seeing new things, you're having new ideas, but a game like Super Meat Boy, that game, when you lose, you just feel frustrated, and the pleasure comes from finally being able to do it. But that's the key, you have to finally be able to do it. This game, even if you aren't finally able to do it, you still see so many new unlocks, so many new ways to play the game, so many different, drops and creepy villains, and I like the soundtrack too. It's a pretty great, decent soundtrack. It's blip blops, yes, but it's not bleep blorks. This is electronic music that fits with the environment. It doesn't jar you out of the environment. It's kind of genuinely murky and creepy. So there you go, I died. I didn't get to show you like half the game. There's card systems, there's trinkets, there's gambling dens, there's all kinds of things you can do. I suggest, don't take my word for it, as the kid on LeVar Burton's show says. Go check it out yourself. So let's play. Let's watch you play. Show me your hits and your wonders. Talk on my YouTube channel and subscribe. See you later, folks, and enjoy the rest of your life.